Hi, Rick. How's it going?
It's going great, Carl. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, Rick, this week we tossed a video between us, a really interesting video, I think. It was about an hour-long conversation by a guy named Peter Zeihan. I think I'm saying his name right. And
Yeah.
it was to a group of manufacturers in North America. Um, and I think we both found it fascinating for a whole host of reasons. But first, what did you like about it?
First off, I'm a huge fan of demographics. As risk managers, we tend to get caught in what's going to happen in the next second, in the next week, in the next month, quarter, whatever. But demographics, I believe, is a great way of looking at the big picture. And I'm older than you, so I might not be around to see the big picture unfold as it's currently unfolding. But uh, if you want to be a strategic risk manager, I truly believe that understanding demographics is a great way to look at it. And I thought that Peter Zeihan did a terrific job of explain basically what demographics is and how demographics can uh, help us look at some of the challenges of the future. And for many of the big issues of the day, they are long-term issues. They are demographic issues. So I thought this was a terrific video.
Yeah. It's kind of the human version of climate, right? Because,
Oh,
weather pops up all the time, right? Just like, things happen in the economy. But climate is a bigger picture, right? What's happening long term in the scope of many, many lifetimes, right? And a time frame we often don't think in. And I think you'll agree with me. This is one of the things I love about risk management. We're not in the weeds all the time. We get to step back and kind of see how things work together, see how things are trending, which is also fascinating. But back to the video. Um, one of the, as you said, one of the things that he got into was demographics, and he sees this as a key lever to the way things are moving, especially to capital costs, which I thought was kind of interesting, right? As the boomers start retiring, they start liquidating their retirement funds. They start using it, annuitizing it, turning it into cash flow, um, you know, and that may increase capital costs, inflation over the next couple of decades. So I thought that was quite interesting. The other thing, and Rick, jump on anything you find fascinating, but the thing I find really interesting that people don't think about enough is everything that countries have done to turn around the declining birth rate. And Peter spends a lot of time on the declining birth rate and what an issue that's going to be in Europe, in Southeast Asia, and really worldwide. Um, Everything countries have done, and there's a lot of attempts to turn that around, right? Poland and Russia and all kinds of countries are basically just giving people money to have kids. Nothing's working.
or in the
And
race for immigrants to make up for the shortfall, as in
that,
the
that
case of Canada.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. The race for immigrants. Europe as well. Europe's opened the doors to a lot of people, and not explicitly said it's because of population decline, but they need workers, right? Our economies are set up so that working age population is larger than the population on a pension, on a retirement, right? The working age people support them. That's how we've done it for 100 years or so. Um, I think one interesting case study will be Japan, and Peter talks about them a little bit. They obviously have a very strong culture. They choose to protect that and not immigrate people. If you want to become a Japanese citizen, it's an ordeal. I mean, you really have to prove you are Japanese through and through. They will come and inspect your home and so on. Um, and so I think they're kind of saying, listen, our culture is very important to us. We're not going to immigrate people, but we're going to find a way to change our economy over time that makes it work for us. And who knows what happens, right? The experiment is yet to be done. And that's something Peter says too, is that we haven't run this experiment ever before, where humans are declining, right? Our population pyramids are smaller at the bottom than at the top. And at the same time as births are low, we're living a lot longer.
Yeah, but there's another interesting aspect that I find too. The Japanese, and I'll pick on North America just for a moment, because that's where I live and the culture I swim in mostly. We like to think of North America, Canada and the U.S. as melting pots, but in reality, and we kind of look at Japan and say, how insular and whatnot that is. But what's happening with the culture and the way that the demographics are going is we've replaced a culture based upon geographical identity or race identity with our culture of I'm a Swifty or not a Swifty. Or, uh, I don't think it's any big exaggeration or a news bombshell to anyone that US has become more dichotomized on a whole variety of issues. And ironically, issues have in some place displaced culture in our demographics. And so I think that that we might say that Japan is an interesting experiment in culture. I would argue that the experiment in culture that is happening demographically in the US is even more fascinating. And it's happening in Canada as well, albeit I would say at a slightly slower pace. But
Yeah, that's very true. I think that's a topic we'll have to pick up another time, but I think you're very right. It's um, everything's sped up in that realm, right? Maybe because of social media, maybe the advent of phones. Um, but culture seems to be so quick. It's viral, right? Something goes viral, and it's immediately everywhere. Um, but yeah, it's a whole different game. So yeah.
it's kind of like Seth Godin's tribes. And you have to choose your
Mm.
tribe carefully, and you have to choose your tribe quickly. I'm using tribe in a kind of different sense than Seth Godin. I don't want to have him angry at me, but we basically become tribes instead of cultures, instead of
Yeah.
a culture, which I think is fascinating. And part of that is being led by the demographics. I think that uh, um, there is an over under age on one of those tornado trees that Zeihan produces that says whether you think of yourself as a culture or as a tribe. Anyhow,
Yeah.
uh, fascinating video. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put it in the video description so other people can go and watch it and let us know your comments. It's um, yeah, really food for thought. So yeah, well, thanks, Rick. Good
Well,
conversation,
thanks,
and we'll
Carl. Always fun
talk to you
chatting.
soon.